Welcome to Figure Feedback. My name is Jeremy, and in this video, I just wanted to share with you some really cool 3D prints that I've made over the past several weeks. Some prints that I have not shown on this channel, but I think that they are good enough to warrant a showcase here. So this is going to be a nice lighthearted video, and I will try my best to remember and to find exactly where I got all these files from, and then I'll leave links to them in the description. If I forget, please let me know. That tends to happen sometimes. But first, let's take a look at the first print. Now, if any of you are into music, instruments, in particular guitars, I found some really cool designs over on Maker World, I believe, and I printed two different variants of guitar. And this first one is of a Gibson Les Paul guitar. And what's really cool about this is they even have the headstock here that you can print with the Gibson logo there, right there with the name, and as well as right there. And everything comes in separate pieces, so you don't have to worry about printing this entire thing as a multicolor print that's going to have tons of waste. Everything can just be pressed in some cases even glued on to keep it in place. And I just use this matte rainbow filament for the body, and this is how it just sort of came out here. And I also like how, and I don't know if this was just the intentional design or if this is just one of the things about 3D printing that happened to work out in its favor, but it looks like there's a wood grain texture on the body of this guitar in these little swoopy circular lines that you would see on actual guitars and on actual wood. So I thought that that was a very nice touch if it was intentional, and if it wasn't, it was a happy little accident. But it's got everything here. You know, you got the volume knobs and the tone knobs. There's no strings, of course, but you know, your bridge and your pickups right here. Got some humbucker pickups right there. And I thought that was really, really neat. There's even a little hole right up here for a little strap button, which I think I might have misplaced or it fell off when I accidentally dropped it or something like that. But you know, you also get the little pick guard right here too that you can put over the guitar. And I thought that this was really cool. And of course, you can customize it according to however you like. Give it a different color for the body. If you got a guitar like this, then you can try to replicate your own guitar, and you can change the fretboard on it. You want it to be darker like rosewood or lighter like maple. You know, you can do that. And I think that this is a really, really fun design. And they also have this stand here that you can print, that you can put the guitar on and just have it sit there on the guitar stand. That is really fun. And these are not super small. Of course, they're not huge, but I think that they are a comfortable size, you know? And I like these. And I made sure to print a couple of these. Let me just stick that on there. I also made this Telecaster here as well. So I wanted it to look somewhat close to the one that I have, but the design isn't quite there because mine has a black guard on it, but this one doesn't. But it still looks pretty good. I used a silk yellow golden PLA for the body, and this one is less complex than the Les Paul because, you know, we don't have so many knobs and tone knobs and volume knobs and all that good stuff, you know. But we just have here, we got our bridge, we got our saddle there, we've got our humbucker pickup there, and then we got our little switch right there, our volume and our tone knobs right there, and then everything else is just nice and simple with that classic neck with all the tuning pegs off to one side. And I even attempted to do the neck in multicolors. You can see like the little black dots are just sort of inlaid in there. It didn't do the best job, so it doesn't look particularly clean, but I did just try to do that. But yeah, you can still kind of tell that it's there, so that's cool. I did not glue the neck on, but it's just sort of pressed fit in there. And yeah, this is just another variant of that. And I think that they have other variants as well, like a Stratocaster variant that you can print out. And maybe by now they have even more different types of guitar bodies that weren't there last time that I looked. So be sure to check the link in the description. I really hope that it's still available if you want to print yourself out some cool mini replica guitars. Now here is the next model. And by the way, if you're curious about what printer I printed these on, It varies, okay? Some of this stuff I printed out on the 85X that just sits right here next to me, but then some of the things that I printed, a lot of these things come in different parts. We're printing like on the Bamboo Lab A1. I think I might have brought in the original 5M and the 5M Pro here and there. So this isn't particularly about how prints came off on a certain printer, but just kind of everybody working together. Now, this is something that I just started printing recently, and I think that this is really, really great. Believe that this particular set of models is called Mini Cities, and I also found this on Maker World. And I think that is so cool because you can customize your own urban city landscape. So they have this grid base that they use. It's not Gridfinity, and I think the creator of this gave an explanation on why they decided not to use a Gridfinity base for this, but they have their own square bases in different configurations, and each of these buildings are individual buildings that don't require supports. At least none of the ones that I printed required supports. And then you just decide where you want to put these buildings to customize your own city. They have so many different building types that you can just print out, from these big skyscraper looking buildings here. I got this arena in the center, and even like little smaller buildings. And there's really no wrong way to do it. You can just customize it the way that you want. And you can also combine different size plates to expand the city. So if you just kind of look right here on the front of this little tiny grid here, there's these little holes because it is a pin system. So you can print out additional plates with the pins and then just connect it just like that to keep them in place. Now this base right here, the larger one, this was a remix from someone else in the community that they designed because they thought that the tolerances were a little too tight. So that's the one that I decided to print. And then the smaller one was from the original creator because I just wanted to sort of see which one would have worked best. In my experience, they're not too much different for me. It might be different for you, but this is just how it works. And then the remixed version does not have the pins in them. But what you can do is combine them with a bridge, just like this here. So I got this bridge piece, and it's got two of these square bases on the bottom. So you can just stick one part of the bridge on one build plate and then just bring the other one on and then connect it. I'm keeping it kind of loose right now for the purposes of this video, and it will connect them together. So in your own little city, you can have this bridge connecting to the next part of the city, so it's like an island or something, like New York or something like that. I've never been, but there's a bridge there, right? That goes over water, leads you to somewhere else. And the sky's the limit. You can customize the grid base however you want, to have as many squares as you want, and you can just have fun with it. And I think it'll be great, especially if you've got some kids, or maybe if it's just for you and you like modeling. You can paint these buildings and you can create your own city. Maybe just make the base in black or spray paint it black so it can look like paved streets or whatever. But this looks good at a distance, and I think that this can look pretty good on the display because these buildings really, really do help to sell the feel of a big metropolitan downtown city. Now, there is a trend that's going on right now with Looney Tunes characters being dressed up in urban apparel and having really laid back, chill urban vibes. And this is one that I found for free. I also think that maybe the original one came from Coats 3D that you have to pay a little bit of money for, like Bugs Bunny. But people, they take them and then they do something with them and they put them out for free. But this one that I got was free. And this is of Daffy Duck. So Daffy Duck rocking the hoodie, baggy jeans, and some pretty fly shoes. I don't know, let's just call them some Jordans or something. And something like this is just really easy to print, and it's in pieces. So once again, you don't have to worry about a multicolor print that's going to take a long time and use a lot of waste. The pants are separate from the shoes, which is separate from the torso, which is separate from his main head. The eyes are also separate, and the beak is separate. And then you can just put all that stuff together. I glued the beak on, but I just sort of let the eyes sit in place. They weren't glued on. And This is one of those things that you can once again customize to your liking. So while I decided to keep it simple, just with some white pants and a black hoodie, for the shoes, I used this black and red silk filament that just sort of fuses together. So when you lay down the red, black is also being laid down at the exact same time. And it helps to create this really kind of cool look that almost shifts the color with the light. And there are so many different types of these I saw just around. You can make ones that have like a Sylvester the cat. I've seen one with Bugs Bunny, Lola Bunny, just all your favorite Looney Tune characters. And they all pretty much have a very similar, just kind of laid back, chill pose like this. And there's different accessories you can have. You can have different shirts, you can have different hats. Some people put like logos for like Adidas or Jordans or something on it. And they don't take much filament to print. They are a pretty neat size compared to the guitar. They are almost the same height as this guitar, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, like I said, you can just make as many as you want, customize them how you want. It doesn't take a lot of filament, it does not take up a lot of space, and it is overall just a kind of cool look. So if you're looking for some more figure type stuff, look into these. Even if you got to pay a little bit of money to get the ones on Coax 3D to just sort of set you up with a nice base, I think that would be worth it. So last thing I want to show you is also a figure, but it is bigger and it is really, really cool. So our favorite character lives in the pineapple under the sea. SpongeBob. So this is something that I also found on Maker World. And once again, you do not need to have a multicolor printer to pull this off. Although with SpongeBob, it helps in one little section, but you don't have to do it because these pieces come separate and you print them individually and they all just slot in. So you got the main body here, which is the yellow sponge, and I printed that on the 85X. But then it just has all these openings for the eyes, and the eyes they come in this big white sphere, and then you have to stick the blue in there, and then you have to stick another black cylinder in there. Everything just fit in really, really easily, and it's held together with glue for the most part. The arms are not held together with glue. Those were able to slide in and they are in there pretty good. So I didn't have to worry about that, at least for the upper part of the arm. The hands parts are definitely glued in. The shoes here and the legs, that's where the multicolor printer comes in handy because this is 5 colors combined. We've got black, we've got white, we've got red, we've got blue, and we've got yellow. And I did those 5 colors on the 85X. So basically what I did is when I was coloring everything inside of the slicer, black was the first color that was going to be used. And fortunately, once the black was done for the shoes, it wasn't going to be used anymore. So in the slicer, I told it that I was only going to use 4 colors: black for the shoes, white for the socks, red for the socks, blue for the socks. And then I said his legs was also going to be black. So what I did was after the black was finished printing and it retracted, I just left it out. I took the filament out and left that empty. So by the time it got to the yellow legs, it tried to go back to the spot where the black was and it paused because there was no filament detected. And at that point, I just grabbed some yellow, stuck it in there and said, hey, here's your black right here. And then it just printed the legs, and that's how I was able to get 5 colors from a 4-color multicolor printer setup. So that's all I did for that. And it came out just looking so good. And this is a really fun model. I didn't glue his tongue in because I'm thinking I might change the color for that, but everything else just looks really awesome on him. And the eyebrows came separate. The black on his pants for like the belt, all that just comes separate. And I think that when it comes to models of characters like this or the characters for the Daffy Duck, I much rather prefer a design like this to just trying to print something multicolored. Do you have any idea how much waste something like this would take if you were printing this through an AMS or an IFS or an Ace Pro or a CFS and any other acronym that these companies come up with for their filament systems, it would just be an astronomical amount of waste. But by having designs that have different parts that you can just print separately and then just press fit them in or glue them in, I think that they look a lot cleaner. They waste far less filament in order to pull it off. And I think it's just a better look overall. And I wonder if this particular model, if you have a larger printer, could you blow it up to make a life-size SpongeBob or even close to a life-size SpongeBob? I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do that. But yeah, it'd be great if I had a larger printer so that I could find that out for myself. But this is a very fun build. It's great if you got kids or if you just want to live in a little bit of nostalgia. So yeah, those were the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 prints that I wanted to show you. Not a lot, but these are some prints that I'm really happy with how they came out, and I had fun printing them, and none of them are difficult to do. If I had to pick my favorite right now, it will probably be SpongeBob, followed by this city, because there's so much customization that you can do for this city here. And I really hope that this particular model gets a lot of attention and we can see some different types of buildings that are created, maybe certain themes that are created, and maybe you can even move away from like the city aspect. Maybe you can make like a smaller town, like an old-timey town, an old Western town with a similar design, just with different designed buildings. I think that'll be pretty cool. But that is it for now. Remember, if you want to see any of these, check the link in the description, the links in the description. And if they ain't there, please tell me so that I can put them there. And if you want to see more stuff like this, be sure to subscribe because I always have more coming. So until then, take care of yourselves and I'll speak to you soon.